Hey again, this is the second part of my string bending tips video series. Who knows, there might even be a part three. But a couple of things that I wanted to cover in this that I didn't get to in the first one. And so one of the things to think about when you're playing is sort of what the purpose of string bending is. Of course, now really the main thing is that it sounds cool. And so that by itself is justification for using it, but really what you want to think of it as is just another way to connect two notes on the scale. So as you play through the pattern, you can play a melody like that, or you could go. So I could either play up, or I could bend. And just bring more life and more interest and more character to the melody that way. So generally what's going to be happening is you're going to usually try to bend to the next higher note in the scale. So if I'm here, okay, for those of you keeping score, this is the 10th fret of the 3rd string. I'm playing out of the C minor pentatonic pattern here on the 8th fret of string 6. And so that note is an F note. And the next higher pitch in the minor pentatonic scale is a G note, which is up here. Now, the fact that you might see it up here might make it a little less clear that it's really another of the whole step bends that I was talking about in the first video, meaning that the target note that I want to bend to is 2 frets or a whole step higher than my starting note, which is this F note. Okay, so now, a couple of things that I didn't cover in the first video, and that is, when can you bend with your first finger? So the thing about the 3rd finger bends is that you can use a buddy finger for extra strength, and that really helps stabilize your hand and makes it a lot easier to perform that bending motion. When you are bending from your first finger, you don't have the option of being able to do that. And so that finger's got to work a little bit harder, and that makes it even more important that you get this whole hinge thing. And remember, that's based on being able to roll on or near the knuckle at the base of your index finger in order to be able to engage the muscles of your forearm, so that as your forearm rotates, that's what's really driving your fingers back and forth to make that string bending motion happen. So the thumb then on top for stability. Now when you do a first finger bend, in this case I'm on the 8th fret of string 3, my target note is on the 10th fret. Pitches are going from E flat to F. It's another whole step bend. Once I've got that sound in my head, I'm going to want to go and then commit to the bend. Up too far. Okay, so in order to do that, I've got to really grab on with my fingertip, pull down towards the floor. All the bends that I demonstrated in the previous video were a matter of pushing up towards the ceiling, but when you're working on the 3rd string, you have the option, if you're playing with the 2nd and 3rd finger, to be able to push up or pull down. With the 1st finger, I prefer to only pull down, because there have been too many times when I've tried to go for a push up and I wind up sort of, tearing the nail loose from the nail bed a little bit, which, kind of puts that finger out of action for a day or so while I heal up. So this is a more reliable way to do it. For smaller distances, say a half step from the minor 3rd, the E flat, to the major 3rd. I can definitely do that, and every so often I'll, throw caution to the winds and go ahead and push up a whole step with my first finger, but generally don't recommend it. It can get you hurt. So anyway, that's something to think about, using the first finger. In conjunction with the 2nd and 3rd fingers to handle those other whole step bends on strings 3, 2, and 1. Okay, so last but not least, it's certainly also possible, and in a lot of cases a good idea, to use the ring finger and pinky pair Okay, not my favorite just because of the difference in length between the two fingers and because it requires a little bit, more leverage to sort of set it up properly, but certainly, a strong possibility and something that's really useful when you need it. So, hey, why not go ahead and go for it? All right, hope this is more stuff that will help.